Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. On behalf of Manila House, this is Bambina Olivares, the Director of Programming, welcoming members and non-members alike to today's virtual conversation about how to go about getting residency and citizenship in the EU, particularly in Spain and Portugal, presented in partnership with AFCO Legal and Golden Visa Consulting. If this is your first time to join us online, allow me to introduce Manila House. We are a private members club that opened in February 2017 with the aim of bringing together an assemblage of people from the business, creative, cultural, and intellectual communities who are drawn to each other by a shared interest to continuously learn about art, culture, food, business, and politics, and from the diversity of their fellow members themselves. It is a community of curious, committed, and caring individuals, and it lives on beyond the physical confines of the club. We began our webinar series in May 2020, covering and encouraging discussion about a range of topical issues from business and investment to health and wellness and arts and culture. We have featured both local and international speakers and continue to broaden our reach among members and non-members alike. Our previous webinars are available for viewing on the Manila House YouTube channel. That said, for the non-members among us, you might like to consider membership to Manila House. We have a limited number of memberships still available. Please email membership@manilahouseinc.com for more information. Before we begin, just a few ground rules. This event is being recorded and will be up on the Manila House YouTube channel in a day or so. It is also being live streamed on Facebook. Please use the chat box and the Q&A box for any questions and comments, and we'll get to your questions as we go along. Thank you very much. So let's move on to the talk. It's no surprise that Spain and Portugal are two of the most popular destinations for Filipinos looking for residency or second citizenship in an EU country. Apart from the cultural affinities we share with our Spanish and Portuguese cousins, for example, the language, the food, and the religion, there is a great weather and high quality of life. Here to tell us more about the Golden Visa and how to obtain it are Antonio Viñal and Alfredo Roca. Allow me to introduce them to you.
Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, everyone.
Antonio Viñal is a partner at AFCO Legal. He's a Spanish lawyer added to the bars of Spain and Portugal. He also holds a degree in business administration. He's one of the partners at AFCO Legal, a Spanish law firm with offices in Madrid, Vigo, Lisbon, and Kuala Lumpur. The firm has an extensive expertise in the real estate, tourism, and hospitality industries, as well as with tax and immigration issues. Alfredo Roca is a real estate advisor with Golden Visa Consulting. A veteran of more than 20 years of living in Asia, most of them spent in the Philippines, where he developed a successful professional career in the hospitality business. Alfredo Roca was a former president of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce in the Philippines and an active member of the Spanish Filipino community. He's a passionate defender and promoter of the Spanish heritage throughout the world.
Thank you, Bambina. Good afternoon, everybody.
Over now, let me just turn now to Antonio, who will start today's discussion and tell us more about the Golden Visa.
Okay,
Antonio,
thank you.
over to you.
Thank you so much, Bambina. Thank you for your very kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. ¿Cómo está? I hope you will benefit from today's session, where we will be discussing the most relevant aspects of the Spanish and Portuguese Golden Visas. So I hope you can all see the screen right now, the presentation I'm sharing. And I will begin by going through the list of content that we have ready for today. So of course, we will be discussing property and property purchase, immigration issues, taxes, which is always a very important part, and last but not least, citizenship. Okay, so I hope this will be of great use to you in the future. Of course, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. In terms of property, of course, as you all know, both Spain and Portugal are part of the EU, the Eurozone, and very importantly, Schengen area, which allows free travel without restrictions between Schengen member countries. And they are both very hot property markets right now, and a little bit about that later on. In terms of ownership, and this is a common concern, ownership is the right to free use and enjoy property and profits, which means that the properties we're looking at for investment are freehold. They're for you to keep perpetuity, pass on to your children, should you wish to in the future. And then, of course, but more importantly, there are no restrictions for foreign investors, whether it's on the buyer side or on the seller side. And I know that some countries like Australia, there are restrictions when it comes to selling. In both countries, procedures are very similar. We would kick things off by obtaining a tax number. And this does not make you a tax resident in either Spain or Portugal, but it is necessary for ID purposes. You will need to open a bank account. And of course, tax number is relevant for that purpose as well. And you may sign a promissory sale and purchase agreement. And this allows both parties to get the necessary paperwork up and running. Then we have the deed of sale. And in both countries, this deed of sale is signed before a public notary. And this will be your title of ownership. And the title of ownership or deed is then lodged with the land registry and the tax office. And you will get a certificate from both entities, and your name will show up as the rightful owner of said property. Well, hotspots in terms of Spain, I'm sure this comes as no surprise. Madrid, Barcelona, the Mediterranean coast, Canary Islands, Balearic Islands as well. And a lot of people are looking not only into tier 1 cities such as Madrid and Barcelona, but tier 2 cities as well. And that includes Valencia, that includes Malaga, where yields and capital appreciation can be a little bit higher. For Portugal, we have Lisbon. We have the coast near Lisbon, the Cascais Estoril Lisbon axis. We have Porto up north and the whole Douro region. And of course, the Algarve down south, which is a favorite amongst EU holiday makers, expats, and so forth. Possible property investments, of course, you would have a wide variety of potential investments, and people would go for residential, would go for holiday homes, the more adventurous and entrepreneurial would like or do like having a vineyard, olive grove in their name. There are also properties for refurbishment, commercial property. This includes touristic apartments. This includes office space, retail shops. And finally, you can even purchase or have a participation in a hotel and have a hotel unit. Non-investing, who's investing? In non-EU citizens. And of course, we have China, very active, mainland Chinese, very active in both countries. Latin America, should come as no surprise. Brazil, more so in Portugal, Venezuela, Mexico, and Argentina. On the Spanish side, then Russia, Lebanon, South Africa, India. I mean, the list is endless. And that is due to the unique qualities and attractiveness of the property investments on the one hand and the citizenship opportunities on the other. Banking options, as mentioned earlier, a tax number, either Spanish or Portuguese, is mandatory. Again, a bank account with a local bank account would be open. Now, loan conditions, if you want to take out a loan in either Spain or Portugal, these are subject to the Euribor rate, 12-month rate, plus a spread, okay, that the bank will apply. Euribor 12 months, well, in June it was 0.4%, but now it's closer to 2.4, 2.5%. So in just 3 months, we've seen a sharp rise of the Euribor rate. In terms of spreads, the best ones you may find are just under 1%. And the loan loan-to-value ratio, can go from 50% to as best or as high as 70%. And this is for non-residents. If you would like to take out a loan to finance or property, a qualifying golden visa property, you may do so, but only up and above the minimum investment threshold. Okay, only up and above. These are, after all, residency by investment programs, and money needs to come from outside of either Portugal or Spain. When you buy a property, of course, there will be a transfer tax. And in Spain, it depends on the location of the property, and it could reach somewhere between 6 to 10% on average. Portugal, sliding scale for residential property is 0 to 8%. So the more expensive the property becomes, the higher the rate. Commercial is always fixed at 6.5%. In terms of other types of taxes, we have wealth tax. No wealth tax in Portugal, and you get 100% relief in the region of Madrid. And gift and inheritance tax, there is no gift inheritance tax in Portugal, and you get 99% relief in the region of Madrid. And of course, well, we would, for other regions in Spain, we would have to go into greater detail. In terms of immigration, let me introduce the most relevant characteristics of the Spanish and Portuguese golden visa programs. Generally speaking, a golden visa is a procedure to obtain and renew visa. Well, the visa is actually a bit of a misnomer. It's a commercial name, the idea of golden visa, because what you're actually getting is a temporary residency card. Okay. Now in Spain, the minimum investment threshold for a property is 500,000. As mentioned earlier, first 500,000 should be free of encumbrances, so no mortgages, etc. And you can buy any kind of property, could be land, could be residential, commercial, anywhere in Spain, as long as you invest 500,000. And you also have the 1 million option, and that's if you invest in shares in Spanish companies or place a bank deposit for that amount. And finally, an investment project whereby if you have a business that you would like to perform or execute in Spain, this will be assessed on the merits of location, technology, employment, and so forth. But there is no minimum threshold for the investment project. Portugal, there is a plethora of options, and I would like to direct your attention to letter B, investment of 500,000 in capital risk funds. And then we would look at letter E, purchase of property, minimum of 500,000 as well. Once again, the first 500,000, no encumbrances. But also letter F. So this is a purchase of a property that should come with a renovation project. And the threshold is lower, 350,000 euros. So from 500,000, we go to 350. This includes both the cost of the property plus the cost of the refurbishment or renovation. Now, it's not any property applies, only those who were completed at least 30 years ago or located in certain areas as defined by the relevant council. So letter B, letter E, and letter F would account for perhaps 95% of all Portuguese golden visas. As we just discussed a few minutes ago, in Spain, you can buy any kind of property anywhere, residential or commercial, for 500,000, right? Portugal is a little different. Since January 1st of this year, you can only buy commercial property in the for the white areas on the map on your right. So I would like to direct your attention to the map on your right. First of all, the green and white map. So as you can see, places like Lisbon and Porto, white shaded areas, you can only buy commercial property. Okay. So this includes, once again, retail shops, office space, touristic apartments, hotel units, so forth. In the green areas, you may buy residential, and this will qualify for golden visa. Okay. So that's the difference between commercial and residential. And now I would like to direct your attention to the map on the left, the pink and white map. In the pink areas, you get a 20% discount reduction on the minimum threshold. So the 500,000 option becomes 400,000, and the 350 option becomes just 280,000 euro, which, as of today, is the lowest entry point in any of the Golden Visa programs. One of the great benefits of the Golden Visa is family regrouping, or the possibility to onboard family members with you. In Spain, we are looking at spouse or partner, children under and above legal age, those who are above legal age if they are, of course, still financially dependent on their parents, meaning they're single and studying. And then you can also include the sponsor's parents. In Portugal, it's pretty much the same. You can also include younger siblings if under the sponsor's custody. In terms of duration of the visa, or the TRC, temporary residency card, to be more accurate, there are slight differences. In Spain, you get your card for 1 year, and then you renew for 2 years, and then every 5 years. So you could, just hold on to your card, and it could almost double up as a permanent residency because, in fact, you are only renewing every 5 years. In terms of Portugal, there are 3 cards, a duration of 2 years each card. Do I need to physically stay in either country? And this is a question which, of course, is on top of people's minds. So in Spain, there's no minimum stay to renew your Golden Visa. Of course, we will see later on what the requirements are for permanent residency or citizenship. And Portugal is different. There's a minimum stay of 14 days in every 2-year period. And you can spend these 14 days in one go or break it up during each 2-year period. A little bit about taxes. And of course, this would only apply tax residency in Spain if, of course, you spend more than 183 days in any calendar year, or if your main activity lies in Spain, or if you live with your family in Spain. In any of these 3 situations, you would be deemed to be a tax resident in Spain. If you do not qualify for any of the above, then you are not a tax resident in Spain. Now, the NHR, non-habitual resident program, in the Spanish case, consists of certain benefits for new tax residents. And on labor income, you can get a very special flat tax rate of just 24%. And when considering that it could go as high as 50%, depending on the region, then of course, just 24% sounds very enticing. The duration of this program for new tax resident is 5 years plus the year when you change your tax residency, so 6 overall. Requirements: you must not have been tax residents in Spain over the past 10 years. You would have a labor or employment agreement with a Spanish employer, or you might hold a directorship position. Your individual is taxed on worldwide labor income, and the special rate of 24% is capped on the first 600,000 euro. If you would like to take advantage, you must apply for this program within 6 months since you begin your activity in Spain. And of course, there is no double taxation, and earnings before and after Spanish tax resident are not subject to Spanish taxation, and any earnings might also benefit from double taxation avoidance rules. In Portugal, once again, if you want to become a tax resident in Portugal, then you would be spending more than 6 months in a year, or you would have a home in Portugal, which is presumed to be your main dwelling, your main place of residence. If that's not the case, then quite simply, you are not a tax resident in Portugal. What about the NHR benefits for Portugal? Well, Portuguese sourced income, such as salary or self-employment income for highly skilled professionals, you are taxed at a flat rate of just 20%. Tax bracket, the highest tax bracket is 48. So, of course, this makes a huge difference. Foreign sourced income could be completely exempt in the case of salary or self-employment income. Capital gains on property, and I stress capital gains on property, not on securities. If you have a foreign pension, this will, however, be taxed at a very low rate of 10%. And all the rest, say real estate or rental income, dividends, royalties, interest, that is exempt. Requirements are very simple. You would not have been a tax resident in Portugal over the past 5 years. 10 years is the duration of these benefits. I mentioned earlier that if you're self-employed, and also if you become an employee, the standard or flat tax rate of 20% applies to you as a highly skilled professional. So highly skilled professionals, the list includes the following that you can see on screen right now. So it ranges from architects and engineers to IT personnel, doctors, and upper management positions, CEOs, CFOs, and so forth. In terms of personal income for non-residents, so we're now switching from the resident status to non-resident. In the case of Spain, let's say you have leased a property and you are resident within the EU, leased property, you would be charged 19% on your income. If you don't actually lease it, there is also a small amount of tax to be paid, and which is calculated on the rateable or tax value of the property. If you're a non-EU resident, then you would be paying 24% on your lease income. And if you don't actually lease your property, there will still be a small charge, once again, based on the tax value, rateable value of your property. If you do become a tax resident, then lease income or rental income, that rate would depend on your region where you would be living. If you do not lease your property, once again, there's still a small charge. Capital gains, which is a question that comes up so very often. Once you decide to sell your property, let's say you make a profit on the sale. So as you can see below, it's on a sliding scale, ranging from 19% to a maximum of 26%. Okay, so those are capital gains and their rates. Portugal, non-residents, very simple. If we're looking at a long-term lease, as a non-resident, you will be paying 28% on your income. If you are on a short-term lease, let's say Airbnb style of lease, then you could pay as low as 12.5% on your rental income. And capital gains is always 28% for non-residents. Mind you, when there's capital gains, you can always deduct a number of allowances, which is the transfer tax you've paid, improvements on the property, the commissions that you might have paid to a real estate agent, etc. So it's not just, price of sale minus price of purchase, but there are also a number of allowances that will definitely lower your capital gains. In terms of citizenship, can I apply for citizenship? Yes, absolutely. In Spain, Filipino citizens need just a 2-year residence period. You are granted full dual citizenship. And the question that more often pops up is, can I leave Spain during these 2 years at any point in time? And yes, you might. You cannot leave for more than 3 consecutive months at a time. Okay. So let's say year 1, you're in Spain for 3 months, you leave for 3 months. You're back in Spain for 3 months, you leave for 3 months. Okay. And you would repeat that on year 2. And once you've completed your 2 years of residence, then you can apply for citizenship. So quite flexible and definitely a very low residence period for Filipino citizens. In Portugal, yes, and it's not so much based on actual time spent. Let's remember, take a time to remember that, as we saw a few slides ago, you need to spend those 14 days every 2 years, right? So if you do that, you will be holding a valid card for 5 years. After 5 years, then you can apply. And yes, from a Portuguese perspective, there is also full dual citizenship. What are the benefits of citizenship? Well, it's very simple. Full freedom of movement within the Schengen area. You can live, work, study in any EU member country. Of course, there are also lower university fees for EU citizens. There is no minimum stay requirement to maintain citizenship. Once you become a citizen, it doesn't matter if you never step or put your foot again in either country. And then, of course, it allows for a larger and easier family reunification. As a Spanish Portuguese citizen, will I be considered a tax resident in Spain and Portugal? No. It's a very straightforward answer. You would only become a tax resident in either country if you fulfill the criteria to become such a tax resident. And we've seen those criteria a few slides ago. Once again, the 183 days in a year and so forth. So I know that for a lot of people that might have a US passport and citizenship does have a tax impact. It does not in our case. Must I take an exam to become a citizen? In Spanish case, there is a very simple culture history exam, and there's an A2 level test in Spanish. Okay, and just to let you know, there's a European common framework of languages, A, B, and C, 3 levels, A, B, and C, and then 3 sub-levels, 1, 2, 3. So the easiest level is A1, and the hardest level is C3. So you're just required an A2 level, and generally speaking, I mean, these are exams that are passed by mainland Chinese who do not even speak English, let alone know a little bit of Spanish, as is the case with Filipino citizens. And for Portugal, it's the language test, once again, A2 level, so very basic Portuguese test, language test. Just some information on the real estate landscape in Spain. And I mentioned right at the top of the presentation that, of course, there's a little difference between tier 1 and tier 2 cities. So, of course, in Spain, we're looking at Madrid and Barcelona. Pros, you will always find demand. Cons, lower yields, and it's a more of a seller's market. And solution might be to look into the periphery of the bigger cities. So these are the latest data on residential cost of residential property. So still growing a little bit in both cities. And well, then you have all the yields as well. So if you like to lease your property, if it's residential, 4.9 Madrid, 5.1 Barcelona, retail higher, much higher. And office lease is somewhere in the middle. Okay. So, I mean, this gives you quite a good idea of what to expect. Tier 2 cities, as also mentioned earlier, Valencia, Malaga, Seville, Bilbao, of course, pros, higher yields, and you can see right there, whether it's residential, retail, or office space, it is significantly higher than what you would find in Madrid, Barcelona. Cons, of course, smaller market, but also attracting great interest. Okay, so even office space, place like Seville, close to 12%. That might be a very good option. Portugal, of course, tier 1 cities would include Lisbon and Porto. Once again, pros, demand is always there. Cons, lower yields, rising prices. Solution, of course, periphery areas. Cost of residential property year on year. Lisbon, of course, great difference between Lisbon and the rest of the country, and still commanding a rise in prices. In terms of residential, yields, Porto has the upper hand. Other tier 2 cities, smaller cities, Braga and Coimbra in the north, Faro down south in the Algarve. Same situation in terms of pros and cons. Solution is to go for niche markets in these cities. As you can see, when comparing the cost of residential property in Lisbon and Porto to these cities, great difference, much lower here. However, yields both in residential and retail and offices are higher. Just to finish on a quick note regarding trends and forecasts, this new real estate boom that started around third quarter of 2021 is expected to carry on until next year. Luxury property in Madrid, 30% foreign buyers. So it's a very good mix, what you will find in Madrid. Supermarkets generally considered as a safe haven, and this is according to real estate consultant CBRE. Madrid is the 4th European financial city according to the Global Index of Financial Centers, and is definitely on the rise. Student housing, definitely something worth looking into, as there is a shortage of student housing. So lots of JVs, joint ventures being created between local developers and foreign investors. And then the PwC report for best European cities for investment. You can see both Spanish cities, Madrid and Barcelona, in the top 10, and Lisbon also commanding a very high position. So that's all for me right now. Thank you so much for your kind patience and attention. And I believe at the end of the session, we can have some Q&A. For the time being, that's all for me right now, and I will pass the baton back to Bambina. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Antonio. That was very thorough, and I like the options that you gave outside of the major cities in each country. So with higher yields as well. So I think they seem quite attractive. I think we'll get Alfredo's perspective on all that. Having lived in the Philippines and known Filipinos, I think you're especially well positioned to cater to people from here looking for investments abroad in towards citizenship and residence. So Alfredo, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Bambina. Thank you so much, Attorney Viñal. As you know, in Spain and in Portugal, there are beautiful places to invest, as Attorney mentioned, and also to consider the ideal investment. I will be presenting you a few investments, possible investments, for you to consider. Also, in case you want and personalize another property or investment, we in Golden Visa Consulting, we also personalize all the criteria of the clients. We'll start with Porto. Porto, is the second city in Portugal. It's a beautiful city, architectural, culture, beautiful areas to live. And we have now here 2 beautiful projects that start with 350,000 euros. This one, the first one, the NAP in Tepe, by Tepe, is have all the facilities in the property. There's 20 service apartments with room service, laundry service, electrical charge, cars, parking space, concerts, and also has a guaranteed return of 3.5% per year for the first 5 years. Also, you can stay 7 days per year included in your investment, and all the apartments are fully furnished and all equipped. The construction will start in the first quarter of 2023, and the construction we expect to finish in the first quarter of 2025. The other project that we have in Porto is the Travessa, that we also have several, we have 3 villas that also we're happy to get a Golden Visa investment. We have a real estate investment in a prime location in Porto, hassle-free property managed by professional team, and also we have a yield return. The yield return will be 3.5% per year for the first 5 years, and depends on the size of the units. You can start with 350,000 euros. Also, you can stay 7 days per year included in your purchase, and all the apartments are fully furnished, beautiful design, modern, and all brand new. And the construction will start in the last quarter of 2022, and we expect to complete the construction finished in last quarter of 2023. Now we pass to Lisbon. As you know, for those ones that were lucky to visit the city, is one of the most beautiful cities in Europe, and facing the Atlantic, and we have this beautiful project hotel in Lisbon called the Lisbon Sky View, with a beautiful skylight in the property. You see beautiful rooms designed, and the investment will start with 350,000 euros, and will be a 4-star hotel with 230 rooms flagged by international brand. Also, in all the investments and all the project benefits, you will have also a 3% per year guarantee payback. You will have a 7 days free stay. All the bodies include, and the IMT paid by the developer. And the project timeline will start in July 2022 start already, and we expect the completion in the third quarter of 2024. In Algarve, as Attorney Viñal was mentioned, is one of the most nicest destinations in Europe for British market, German market, French market, and also international. They already received more than 7 million visitors per year. They have a beautiful weather and climate, and Algarve have the biggest city, is the biggest city in the region, and also have international airport. And there is a beautiful property here, a 4-star hotel with 133 rooms, flagged by international brand, and the investment starting for 280,000 euros. Also, as I mentioned before, all the project benefits will have the IMT paid by the developer, the VAT is included, guaranteed by buyback that, after a few years, the developer will be buy back your property in case you want to sell it, and have 7 days free stay. We'll start the project in September 2022, and we expected to finish the project and the last quarter, or last quarter of 2024. Now we'll pass to Spain. Many of you are familiar with Sotogrande, because many families in Manila were part of the development of Sotogrande. They developed Makati and they developed Sotogrande. And they have it's a beautiful place in Cádiz, close to Gibraltar, beautiful beaches, beautiful food, and the golf courses, and this beautiful developments called La Finca in Sotogrande is in the San Roque, one of the most nicer place and quiet places in Cádiz. All will be a contemporary design, open floor plan. You can choose from 3, 4, 5 to 6 bedrooms, large terraces, double garage parking, security gates, and the prices range start from 500,000 euros to about, depends on the number of rooms. That's all for me. Thank you. Again, I'm a real estate consultant. And we are really pleased to help you. You have any question or you have any query for Golden Visa Consulting. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bambina.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alfredo, and thank you, Antonio, for all the information you provided today. Do we have any questions? I have a question here sent to me by WhatsApp asking about the test. I think that's what a lot of people are concerned about, the citizenship test or the language test. How difficult is it, and how do you prepare for it?
Okay, I might answer that one. Once again, it is a very simple test, very basic, especially for English speakers when compared to other nationalities that do not even write in, let's say, Latin-based characters. And I mentioned earlier the applications from mainland Chinese who do not speak English and have no difficulty in passing the test. So generally speaking, as mentioned, you just need to prove an A2 level, which is very basic. And of course, in the Philippines, a lot of words are already of Spanish origin. And even if you're thinking about Portugal, then Portuguese and Spanish are also very similar. So a lot of the words that you might already know because of Spanish can also be used for Portuguese. Okay, so definitely not a concern. There are hundreds of people applying for citizenship, month in, month out. So definitely not a concern. Again, it's just a question. I mean, the idea of a test might seem a little imposing, but certainly not something that you should be afraid of.
And at what point are you required to take this test?
Well, this is necessary for the citizenship application. Okay, so it's not year one, not year two. In the case of Spain, it would be after year two. Okay, once you have fulfilled residency requirements, and in case of Portugal, then it's after year 5.
Okay, and then for the whole procedure, how long would it take? Is there a span of time that people should be prepared to wait?
The timeline, okay. Let me start with Spain. And let me start with the golden visa. Now, in terms of Spanish golden visa, once we have collected all the documents, once the investment has been transacted, then the actual processing is quick. It's quite quick. Okay, we're looking at around a month. After which you will get the document and you can use it. I mean, a lot of people use it just for traveling purposes, not because they intend to relocate. It's just a comfortable way of not having to apply time and again for a Schengen visa. So it comes in very handy. And yeah, of course, a lot of people do intend to acquire citizenship. So after year 2, you can apply, and then we would be looking at an average period of around 1 year to 18 months, okay, until the citizenship application is finally granted. For Portugal, let me also give you a brief vision of what the timeline looks like, because the process is a little different. In Portugal, the golden visa application consists of 2 parts. Okay, part number 1 is online. You do not need to travel. And then we would receive a notification asking us to book your appointment, okay, for part 2 or phase 2. And that's when you come to Portugal. You need to travel. We resubmit the whole application, and you have your biometrics taken, so photograph, fingerprints, and so forth. Now, in terms of actual time for this, in Portugal right now, we are expecting during the next month to see clearance of all the phase 1 applications lodged during December 2021. And why does that make any difference? Well, because as mentioned, in January 1st, 2022, the new rules were implemented. So a lot of people wanted to get in the program and take advantage of the old rules. So there was a huge inflow of new applications during the final months of the year. Once that has been cleared, phase one should come back to its normal processing time of around 2 to 3 months. And then the phase two, once we are able to secure the appointment, now the processing of the Golden Visa will depend on which office we actually relaunch the application in. Lisbon is currently taking 9 months, I can tell you that. If you would like to travel a little bit further out of Lisbon, then I would definitely recommend doing so. We're seeing processing times down south in the Algarve around 2 to 3 months. Same thing for the office in Porto. So it would definitely pay, traveling outside of Lisbon for that biometrics appointment.
Okay. I wanted to just look at some of the questions at the Q&A box that have come
Sure.
in. A lot of them are about the properties. There's somebody who's saying, aside from the properties mentioned, will you help identify other properties to buy? And I'm sure you can do that, right? So let me just segue to the other question, and then either you or Alfredo can take this.
Yeah, it's more for
Someone
Alfredo,
is
yes.
asking, is it possible to have site visits for these real estate projects in Lisbon and Porto? This particular person will be spending Christmas holidays in the area before flying to other parts of Europe. Who can I email once travel plans are finalized? I'm assuming that could be you, right, Alfredo? Do you want to take this?
Right. Yes, please.
Yeah, so we'll put you in touch with Alfredo.
We will have a broker will be assigned for you to show you the properties and to show you everything. Either Lisbon and Porto, no problem. Okay. And also you were made earlier about if we can identify other properties. Yes, we also identify if you want Madrid, Barcelona, San Sebastian, Valencia, vineyards, olive farms. We just are looking for an orange state for a family. Yes, anything we can.
And there's a related question here. If you are already a resident of Spain, can you apply for bank mortgages to buy new properties from a Spanish bank?
Yes. So if you're not within the Golden Visa program, then of course that restriction does not apply to you. Okay. So of course you can use your property, get a loan, apply for a mortgage, buy a second property or third property, whatever it might be. Absolutely.
And how soon can we sell the property or sell back the hotel share or withdraw the bank deposit upon granting citizenship?
Well, once you have reached your goal, which is ultimately citizenship, then you can sell that property or sell back the hotel share. So there is no specific requirement. Obviously, once you have obtained citizenship, that's it. You don't need to hold on to the property any longer.
But if you're only a resident, you've got to keep it. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, and how about for spouses? Is there an extension given to spouses for the resident visa? You were saying it was a family, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the main applicant can onboard family members, and of course the spouse becomes attached to the investor's application. Okay, so absolutely, spouse or even if unmarried, we just need to show that they've been living together, for a number of years, and that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then proof if you have children over the age of 18 who are still financially dependent on you, you've just got to show proof that they either still live with you or.
Exactly.
Okay. And then maybe you might like to, I think you talked about this earlier, where Philippine if you have dual US and Philippine citizenship, can you get a third citizenship, Spanish citizenship?
Well, again, from a Spanish perspective,
That's fine.
there's no restriction in terms of applying for Spanish citizenship, and essentially we would be applying, or the investor would be applying as a Filipino resident. So a Filipino citizen, not as a U.S. citizen. Okay, because obviously the benefit
will
of
you be asked to disclose? Will you be asked to disclose other citizenships?
Well, in terms of criminal records. In terms of criminal records, okay. So, of course, for any citizenship application, you need to show, where you've been living, at least, on a regular basis, and so where you've had any long-term residencies. So we don't need actually to show the passport, but if you've been, living there, then of course we would need to collect that NBI or criminal record from that country.
Okay. And again, going back to the family members, what proof is needed for unmarried partners? Proof of cohabitation, what kind
Exactly. Well, there are
evidence
different,
can you offer?
Yeah, there are different types of proof that might be available. For instance, if both partners hold a property together, okay, hold a joint asset, that's one. Number two, if there are joint tenants in a lease, okay, a lease agreement is also helpful. If they are in each other's will, or let's say life insurance, that can also help. If they file taxes together, then yes. If they have children under their custody, that's also proof. So there are, any one of these could be of use.
Okay, and here's what's all related again to this question of family members. If you have a 20-year-old child who'll be graduating from university next year, as long as he's still living within the household, he'll be able to benefit from the extension. Yeah,
well, you need to, of course, in terms of his application or her application. Number one, still single, okay, and number two, if he's already working and earning an income, and he's, that person is able to support himself financially, then that's an issue, of course. So unless you can show a bank account whereby the parents are still funding his expenses, and of course, if you can still show that that child is living under the same roof, et cetera, then yes, okay. But I think this is something more that could be discussed privately.
Okay, and what about grandparents? Could that be extended to grandparents living within the home, or supported still by?
Yes. So in main investors' parents. Okay, main investors' parents.
That's also possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And how many times can you renew a golden visa? Is there a limit in case you're not ready to apply for citizenship?
No, you can still renew indefinitely. And especially in the Spanish case, every 5 years. In the Portuguese case, every 2 years. In the Portuguese case, you can also apply for permanent residency. Okay, and it's the same as with citizenship. You fulfill those 14 days every 2 years. And then you can apply for permanent residency, and then it's just a formality renewing, like getting your passport renewed every 5 years. Okay, if you want permanent residency in Spain, it's a little harder, actually harder than citizenship. So again, permanent residency in Spain does not make sense. If you want to renew your golden visa, that's absolutely fine because it's cheap, it's quick, it's and you only need to do it every 5 years. So as I said earlier, it kind of doubles up like a permanent residency card.
Okay. And then the remaining questions we have are about costs and fees.
Yeah.
Would you be able to give a ballpark figure of how much it would cost with the
Yes. So
investment?
in terms of the, let's call them government charges. Okay.
Mhm.
So in the Spanish case, we're looking at a negligible amount, okay, 200 to 300 euro overall. So it's a very small amount. In the
Mhm.
Portuguese case, for the first card, we're looking at a processing fee of 539 euro per person, and also an issuing fee for the card of 5,300 euro. Okay, and this is also per person, so there is a significant difference. For Portugal cards number 2 and 3. So remember that you must get a minimum of 3 cards. The processing fee is exactly the same, the 533 euro, and then the issuing fee is half of that first card, so 2,600 euro. So overall, in the Portuguese program, the fees payable to the government per person, whether it's the main investor or whether it's a family member, over the course of those 3 cards, okay, it comes to a little over 12,000 euro. 12,000 euro. Again,
Okay.
this is not paid at the beginning. This is paid over time. This is paid over time. And a lot of people use their lease income to pay for these fees. It's a good way to pay your way. Once again, in the Spanish case, it's a very low amount per person. I mean, I was quoting 200 to 300 euro. So that's quick. That's cheaper. I mean.
Okay, I think that's all we have for today. I mean, they're very thorough questions. And again, I wanted to thank you both. If you don't mind turning on your cameras for a little bit.
No, absolutely. Actually, I was trying to do it since the beginning, but no, it said it's not possible to start a video because the host interrupted the video.
Oh, okay. Trina, can you fix that, please? Trina, can you turn on their cameras?
Yeah, Miss B, for a moment.
And maybe I'll share for now.
Yes, I mean, also to add that if any attendee would like a legal consultation, okay, and discuss any of the legal issues, that's perfectly fine.
Is it not turning on the cameras?
No, not. I mean, I'm still trying, but no.
Oh, it's a shame. Okay, well, on behalf of both of you, then I'll just say thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. There are people that came in and out and joined a little later. So if you'd like a copy of the presentation or you'd like more information, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us, events@manilahouseInc.com, or through Alfredo Roca at info@goldenvisaconsulting.com. We'd be very happy to help you, direct you to the right person, get you the information that you need. And please do let us know if you plan to travel and you'd like to meet up with them and see some properties. So again, Alfredo and Antonio, thank you so much. I still don't see you on camera, so
Just trying, but no, I mean, we do exist. We do exist.
Yeah.
Not just a voice.
On behalf of Manila House, thank you so very much. Maybe Alfredo, would you like to say some parting words before we close?
Thank you so much, Marina. Thank you to all the team behind Manila House and all the members for the participation. And the next weeks I will be in Manila also, in case you want to contact with us. In Spain also, where we like tour around to Madrid, Barcelona, Lisbon, so forth. No problem. And again, thank you, Antonio Jan, for your thorough presentation. I believe many questions were already. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Alfredo. Thank you, Bambina.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again soon. We'll see you in a couple of weeks, Alfredo. Thank you. Okay, well, adios from
Thank
here.
you. Adios. Bye-bye. Obrigado.
And have a great
Gracias.
day. Okay. Gracias. Bye.